Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a great day so far and welcome to today's video, which is going to be a very long awaited next episode of my Makeup Dilemmas series, where I try my best to help you with your makeup struggles, your makeup problems, your makeup dilemmas. It's been 6 months since the last one. I'm so sorry, but I am back ready to hopefully help you with some of your makeup struggles. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so quick disclaimer, I have done many of these in the past. I used to do them a lot more regularly. I just forgot they existed. Holding my hands up. Apparently it's been 6 months, which I can't believe it's been that long, but it has. So if I don't answer your question today, it's because we have already covered it maybe several times in previous episodes. So please check the playlist, because the key sort of issues that we've solved will be in the thumbnail. We have done mascara smudging to death. We've done it many times. We've also done concealer creasing, for example. So if you've asked a question we've already covered, that's why I haven't got to it today. So kicking us off, Redoot Shabby says, I don't usually see you wearing a lot of pencil eyeliner. Do you not recommend it? It's not that I don't recommend it. It's just something that I don't typically do a lot. I do love the Lisa Eldridge liners. So if I do a pencil, if I do a pencil liner, those are the ones that I will use. And I love a bit of her brown. I think it's Ground Coffee is the name of the brown shade. I love that in my waterline or tight lining my upper waterline. I do like it. I don't have anything against it. It's just something that I don't sort of necessarily do frequently for no other reason other than usually I can't be bothered or I've forgotten. But it's not something that is like necessary for me to do every time I do my makeup. It's not a step that I really love or feel like I need to do every time. Janine Albronda says, which colour brow products to buy? Is that a common dilemma? Because it's mine. So it really depends on what you want to do, what look you're going for. I will basically match my hair colour, which is the same colour as my brows. My brows are, this is pretty much my natural hair colour now. I change my hair colour all the time, but this is very close to my natural colour at the moment, a sort of reddish brown. And so that is the colour that I typically go for when I use a brow pencil. If you have very blonde hair, some people have very light blonde brows, and therefore you might want to deepen them so they're more visible if that's your preference, and therefore you might want to go for something browner. But brow products come in all different tones as well. You might prefer a cooler brown, and I typically go for a cooler brown than my hair. So a similar level of brown, like a medium to deep brown, but I typically go for cool undertone rather than warm, which is more so my natural hair color, just because I don't like a very warm brow. But it's really up to you and what color you want to go for, what color your natural hair is. That's kind of the easiest thing to do, because you know it's going to suit you. If it's the color of your natural hair, you know that you can't really go too far wrong. So that if you're completely stuck, go and match the natural colour of your hair. You can't really go too far wrong, but you can always play around with it. You know, go and have a look in store at different shades and see what you like. Someone online that has a similar hair colour to you, check out what colour brow pencil they're using. You know, fake it till you make it. Glam by Sophie says, how do you apply liquid blush without having it all over the cheek? Any tips? So I did recently review, in fact I filmed it today, but this video will probably go out a lot later. But I filmed my YSL liquid blush review just this morning, and I do show how I apply liquid blush typically in that video. You can also see me applying liquid blush in my Hourglass liquid blush videos. But what I typically do is get a bit of the blush on the back of my hand, and then I will stipple my brush into the blush, tongue twister for you, until everything is like evenly packed into the brush, so you don't get like a splodge. The brush should be like evenly covered, and then you just tap it lightly wherever you like and build up from there. Idiot proof, I've tested it, okay? It's very easy. Ali O'Pree says, hello Charlotte. Hello. What would be your recommendation for a soft beige blush? So I would say one of my favorite beigey type of blushes is Chanel's Elegance. It's very forgiving, very beautiful, very soft, very understated, absolutely gorgeous. You can see there on my summer skin tone, it's barely there. Very easy to wear. Can't go wrong. Absolute perfection. Darlow Smith says, do you think fake tan would change my natural undertone for when I'm choosing a summer foundation? So yes, it definitely can. It just depends on what your natural undertone is and what the undertone of the fake tan that you're using is. If you're using a very warm fake tan, which most fake tans are warm, you can get some more purple undertone these days. Undertones of fake tan have come a very long way, but traditionally most fake tans are warm. You know, they are that sort of very orangey, warm tone. But these days you can get olive, green, purple undertoned fake tan. So it depends what undertone of the fake tan you're using. Typically they are mostly warm from what I understand. I'm not an expert really. I've barely ever used fake tan in my whole life. So I'm really not an expert, but yes, it absolutely could be a different undertone to your natural undertone. And it depends whether you want to match your face or whether you want to match your body. If you have fake tan, that's completely up to you, but yes, it can change the undertone depending on the undertone of your fake tan and what your natural undertone is. If you want to keep it the same, then just do a little bit of exploring. Everything I know about fake tan is what I've seen on TikTok, what I've stumbled upon, and it is mind-blowing. Okay, there are many, many options. Vanna says, should I buy the old Givenchy Prisma Libre before it sells out? I only have the travel size. So if you don't know, my Holy Grail under eye setting powder from Givenchy has been reformulated. We don't know why, but I haven't tried the new one yet. I have like almost a full one left, so I have no intentions of buying one of the new formula to try it until I have fully run out of everything that I own, because it appears that they have made it very, very shiny. If you want to see it in action, I would recommend checking out Rose Siard on Instagram. She did a side-by-side comparison, and the new one is definitely much shinier than the OG, and a lot of people are very fuming about it, including me, because I just don't think it needed changing whatsoever. Okay, stop it. So, you know, whether or not you want to buy another one before you can no longer get the old OG formula is completely up to you. This one, I don't know if it's even halfway through. I have a lot left. I also had a travel size that I purchased that is brand new, but I went and bought one of the old formula as soon as I heard that it had been reformulated. It's pretty much sold out everywhere now. I tried to look to find the old formula and I really can't find it in my shade. Anyway, I used the shade 3. So if you're going to do it, it will be gone if you can even find it now, because everyone's been doing the same thing. How you will know is the old one had this sort of matte speckled lid, and the new one has this shiny finish on the lid on the top as well. So that if it's shiny on the top, that's the new formula. That's how you know. And looking online at the stockists, it appears everybody has the shiny one. So if you can find it, I would do it, but know that once that's gone, it's gone. So then what you're going to do? My plan will be to go back to the Pat McGrath, because there was nothing wrong with it. I feel like this one just kind of just about edged it out, but I do still love my Pat McGrath, so I'm okay with it. It will probably take me 3 years to get through the 2 that I have now anyway. T.S. Martinson says, every foundation except for MAC and Purito's BB cream looks bad on my chin. I do exfoliate. So when you say it looks bad, what are we talking about here? Is it separating? Does it look textured? Is it fading? Is it shiny? What are we talking about? So I would say if a lot of foundations are looking off in this area, something's going on here. Have you tried playing around with primers? That's my first question. So if you exfoliate, but it's still maybe looking flaky or it's looking textured, then really make sure you're hydrating that area and maybe using something like a smoothing primer, like my Tom Ford Soft Matte Primer, something smoothing that gives the foundation a really nice smooth surface to go on top of. Are you setting with powder if it's getting shiny? There's a lot to consider, a lot of things to try, but play around with primer, play around with your skincare and really making sure that you're prepping your skin, not just exfoliating, but hydrating and making sure that it's as well prepared for foundation as possible, and then have a look at the primer. Depending on what the problem is, let us know in the comment section. Is it flaking? Is it dry? Is it separating? What's the problem? Because this whole area is kind of my problem zone. I call it the muzzle zone. And, you know, there's a lot of texture, there's a lot of lines. It's also an area that, you know, is one of the first areas for my foundation to fade from throughout the day. You do a lot of talking, food, drinks, everything's touching this area. So it is a problem area for everybody, it's not just you. But we can kind of help it out a little bit with primers, with setting powder, things like that. So let us know exactly what's going on in the comment section. Renata Hamdan says, best way to disguise melasma in a natural finish. So I think the best thing, I have a little bit of melasma on my forehead, and I also do get it on my cheeks. I'm very careful. We know prevention is better than cure when it comes to melasma, because mine gets worse and worse and worse with sun exposure. So I do try to keep SPF 50 at all times throughout the summer to try and stop it getting any worse. But covering it, I would say always, especially if you don't want to go in with full coverage concealer everywhere all of the time, I would go for a colour corrector rather than trying to cover it with foundation, especially if you're looking for a more natural finish and a more natural look in your foundation. You don't want to just keep plastering, trying to cover it up. It would be much easier to use a colour corrector first, a small amount, and then it will be easier to cover with a lighter amount of foundation. Colour corrector, the shade of colour corrector will depend on the colour of your melasma, but that's very easy. There are lots of colour wheels and colour advice on colour correctors online, whether you have more grey or more brown or what your skin tone is. So check that out, but I would definitely give a go of colour correcting rather than trying to just cover it up with a heavier foundation. Rox01 says, eyelashes dropping after mascara, how do you hold a curl? So my natural lashes are quite curly, so I very rarely use an eyelash curler. I know I'm not trying to show off or anything, okay? I'm not trying to just pour salt in the wound. I'm just trying to explain that my lashes don't hold a curl. So if you're thinking I'm doing something magical, I'm not. They are just curly. Naturally, so I am blessed, I do know. But one massive tip that I saw again from Rose, she's just an angel who solves all of my problems. Definitely follow her on Instagram if you're not already. But I did see her sharing her tip that she does. So she curls her lashes with a normal lash curler, applies mascara. She then powders the inside of her lash curler with a bit of loose powder, something like this Givenchy, little light layer, and then curls them again when they've got mascara on. Very carefully so you don't yank them all out of your eyeballs. And that is supposed to be the best way to hold the curl throughout the day. So check her video out. She has a video on Instagram showing this technique. And give that a go, let me know. Ella Graham says, how to line a double lip line. Double lip lines, God. I have this same problem, I have a double lip line. Now I got my lip blush done like a year ago now, and I still don't need it topped up or, you know, redone. It changed my life. But I too have a double lip line. The worst bit of mine is like under here. It's like, here's my lip. I don't think you'll be able to see, but I basically have my usual lip line, and then I have like an extra little bit underneath just here. And I also have it around the sides of my mouth here. Let me zoom you in so you might have a hope of seeing. But yeah, I have like this bit that is still sort of pigmented, and then this lower bit here is my second lip line. So I'll show you what I do. And this is from lots of looking online at different tips. I've been told, and what I found works best for me, is I follow my double line, so the bigger one, the outer line. Let's try and be helpful, hello. In the middle. So in the middle of my lip, I will choose to line the outer line, so. And then when it comes to the edges, so can you see I have like this here, and then I have this here. So on the corners of my mouth, I will choose the inside line. And then in the center, I'll use the outside line. and that gives me the best shape. Something else you can do, depending on how pigmented your inner and outer lip line is, you can also take like your concealer brush and sort of hide the second line, the outer line, to help that all sort of meet up. So that is what I do. I will line the outer line in the middle of my mouth and then the inner line on the outer part of my mouth, and then just kind of blur them together. You can also, like I said, conceal the extra line and just ignore it altogether and use a bit of concealer to just give yourself a new lip line. But it will all depend on the pigmentation. It's a nightmare, but that is what I do. Give that a try. Maricin says lipstick that lasts but is not matte, soft and creamy. The right colour is a different problem. Tell me about it. So the lipstick that I just used is the RMS. This is the shade May. These are really long lasting, super creamy and hydrating. Quite a lot of pigment, but if you want something less, you can always, you know, give it a bit of a dab to tone it down if you want something softer pigment wise. But these are lovely, really long wearing, really creamy, not matte, very comfortable. Definitely give these a try. Also, they're really nice for lines and more mature lips and texture on your lips, very flattering. Abby Longbourn says, can't decide which Dior primer to use with Lisa Eldridge's foundation, Velvet or Glow. So here's the thing, you can't really go wrong. Primer for me is about cheating the system. It's a little cheat code. Okay, so it just depends what you want. Because I use almost exclusively glowy foundations, you know this about me, I love the glow. So all of my foundations that I use typically day to day are glowy, and therefore I'll use a smoothing primer most days because I'm 40. Believe it or not, I have some texture, I have some lines and wrinkles and fine lines and texture and things like that that I want to cover. And after glow, my second biggest priority is smoothness, smoothly smooth. So I'll go in with a smoothing primer, knowing that my glowy foundation on top is going to give me all of the glow, and then I have all of the smoothness from my primer, so I get a smooth glow. Perfect combination. But if you have very oily skin, you would probably want to go for something mattifying. If you just like a matte finish, then you would probably want to go for something smoothing to get that extra smoothness, but you don't need any extra glow. If, like me, you love a bit of glow, then absolutely go for the glowy primer, because the Lisa Eldridge is a more sort of natural towards matte finish, and then you can get an extra bit of glow from your primer, particularly if you're using just a small amount of the foundation. The glow is going to show through and you'll get a bit of a glowy boost. So it all depends what your priority is. Is it smoothing, wear time, mattifying, or is it glowy, gleaming, glistening skin? That kind of is going to inform your decision on which primer is best for you. Lil Lou says, I have anxiety every time I see an eyeshadow palette because I've never used one, as I have no idea how to blend and what colours to use. Here's the thing. I would recommend starting with something really easy that does the work for you. Okay, that does the thinking for you. Something like the Natasha Denona MIDI palettes are perfect for this, okay? Because although they seem overwhelming because they've got a lot of shades in there, she does the work for you, because in Natasha Denona palettes, she's put them in rows of how they will go together. So whether it's across or down, the shades are meant to go together. You just start off with the lightest one in the crease. If you want to build it up, you go to the next shade for a bit of extra depth, and then pick your favorite shimmer to go all over the lid, and you can't really go far wrong. But the only way you're going to get more comfortable and find that process easier is practice. You know, practice on a day when it doesn't matter, you're not really leaving the house, you're not going anywhere. And just give it a go, play around. You really can't go as far wrong as you think that you will. And it's just about practice and finding colours that you like on yourself, that look how you want your eyeshadow to look. Follow tutorials. You know, if you have something like Natasha Denona's I Need a Nude or her Golden palette, there are going to be hundreds of videos on YouTube showing you different combinations. Pick one that you like and follow it, and you'll just start to learn and get the hang of it a bit more. But those MIDI palettes from Natasha Denona really do all of the work for you. They do all the thinking and all of the combo putting togethering that you could possibly need it to do. They're very beginner friendly, even though they might look intimidating, they're actually very easy to use. Laura's Palette of Thoughts, great name, says, I like to wear SPF every day, but I feel like it makes my makeup break down quicker. What could I try? So there's a few things. SPF, a lot of SPFs will do that. They do, because they are sort of sitting on top of your skin, and they can be, a lot of them, quite oily, but not all SPFs are created equally. That's the first thing I'll say. My favourites at the moment, always La Roche-Posay, they're always amazing. The new Tatcha one, also amazing. There are a lot of SPFs that go beautifully under foundation and do not disturb foundation or make it wear worse. But if you're finding that's always an issue, one, make sure you're leaving enough time between SPF and makeup. Use a primer, something that's going to give you extra life, extra wear time, something like the Tom Ford Soft Matte. There's therefore a barrier between SPF and foundation, a little middleman, if you will. Use setting powder, use setting spray. You can even get SPF setting sprays these days. So something like that, give that a try, but play around with your SPFs and have a look at some recommendations of maybe trying a different one, because they aren't all the same. And like I said, those couple that I mentioned, the glow screen, you can get the mattifying glow screen as well if you have an oilier skin type. Those all wear excellently under foundation. NT.1, is that even in the ballpark of how I should be pronouncing that? I'm so sorry. I can't see a thing without glasses on. I can't apply mascara. So one of the things, I don't wear glasses, so I have absolutely zero tips to give you. I have no idea how you would go about that, but I did do a quick little search on YouTube and I found this creator. I'll put her name and link her video in the description box for you, where she showed, and she is a makeup artist as well, and she showed applying a full face of makeup wearing glasses and how she does it. But she basically keeps her glasses on a lot of the time and kind of goes behind them. But she also has lots of tips and tricks from the perspective of a glasses wearer. So I would much rather you listen to her than me, because I don't wear glasses. So I have absolutely no clue about tips. But if you are a glasses wearer and you have some tips, let us know in the comments section down below what you do and how you apply makeup with your glasses on, or any tips that you have. I did see a tip that said magnifying mirror. I don't know if that's going to help you, but I know if you check out this lady's video, it will be much more help than I will be. So Desert Mermaid says, any tips for mascara transfer for senior eyes? I know tubing mascara works, but it's not my favorite. So mature eyes, I mean, much like I have hooded eyes, and it can, you know, my lashes are long, so I do get transfer sometimes because they just do rub. Setting your whole eye area, even if you're not wearing eyeshadow, but setting it with powder so that your mascara is not touching your skin that has skincare or natural oils coming through, making sure you're setting that heavily down to avoid transfer. Waterproof mascara as well, I hate it, but it is undoubtedly better for transferring, especially if that's happening because of, you know, touching mascara onto more mature lids. So those are a couple of things to try. Jen Wilcox says, how do I create a winged eye using liquid eyeliner on wrinkly and crepey eyelids? So again, my eyelids at the moment aren't too problematic when it comes to liquid liner, but because again they are hooded, something I like to do is a baby wing. So a baby wing with a liquid eyeliner, just a little flick with the liquid eyeliner, and then use a pencil on my lid, a really fine, basically tight lining. So instead of drawing the line across my mobile lid with the liquid liner, which is really tricky, and also then ends up taking up too much of the lid that I do have, I'll tight line in my waterline and then just do the flick with the liquid liner. That's kind of something that I do, but give that one a try. You can also just smudge the liner as well, rather than drawing the line if that's trickier on crepier lids. And then just the baby wing, and try to avoid that area that might be problematic where there's lines and texture, and kind of do it more straight than you would if you were 15. So yeah, that's kind of my tips and tricks for avoiding my hooded eyes and any textured areas, as I kind of keep the flick a little less like up sharp, more out, and then tight line rather than using the liquid liner on your mobile lid. Try that and let me know. So moving on, Janine L. Bronder, thin upper lip. Can I ever wear lipstick with some depth of colour or just forget about it? Never forget about anything that you want to do, okay? We can find a way. I was watching this amazing tutorial by Lisa Eldridge recently. I massively recommend that you check out that tutorial because the lady that she's doing this makeup look on has really thin lips at the beginning of the video, and she wears quite a rich lipstick in the video. So I would 100% watch Lisa because obviously she's not only is she a professional makeup artist, but she's like the best of the best. And so she is the best person to teach you this, far better than I ever could. So 100% watch this video because I think this looks absolutely amazing, this look. And this lady, believe it or not, really does have quite thin lips. So have a look. You can do it, you can wear it. Play around. Liner is going to be your best friend for sure. Watch this Lisa Eldridge tutorial. She is a genius. Maria Nikop says, I'm kind of scared that foundation will move my sunscreen around and ruin the SPF, so I usually skip it. It's not going to. As long as you leave enough time between SPF and foundation, put a primer in between, like I said, it's the middleman. It won't do. You know, your SPF is going to absorb into the skin. You've got primer and then foundation. As long as you leave enough of a gap, it isn't going to move your SPF about. You'll be absolutely fine. Zippity Doodah, amazing name, says, what is the best eyelid base to make colour shadows pop and last? So as you know, I commit to the ultimate crime, makeup crime, especially if you ask my friend Robert Welsh, of using concealer and setting with powder when I do my eyeshadow. And that is definitely not how to get the most pigment out of eyeshadows. I know that. For me, it just makes it easier to blend. I find the process blending, you know, powder shadows into powder on my lid much easier and softer, and that's what helps me to blend because blending is not my favorite thing to do. It's not the thing I'm best at. But if you're trying more so to get the absolute most pigment out of shadows and the most impact, you are 100% going to be better off using a proper eyeshadow primer. So the best one I've ever tried is the Urban Decay Eye Potion, I think it's called. As I said, I don't use them very often, but those will get a lot more vibrancy out of your shadows than using concealer like I do. Okay, so proper eyeshadow primer. Lots of people love the P. Louise one, but I didn't get along very well with that. But that has a lot more opacity to it as well. So if you're kind of wanting to cover redness or anything like that, discoloration on the lid, as well as be an eyeshadow primer, it's very good for that. But there are lots of them out there. Use whatever one Robert Welsh uses, because if you have a look at his eyeshadow, then it's certainly more vibrant than mine is. Amy asks, when do you put SPF on, before or after primer? So SPF is the last step of your skincare routine. Primer is the first step of makeup. That's how you remember it. So SPF is still skincare. It goes on after your moisturizer. Primer is the first step of your makeup, so that would be next. So you'd go SPF as long of a gap as possible, and then primer. Lysal says, face sweating while dining outside. Tell me about it, okay? The best thing that I have ever found for this happening to me, mostly when I'm on holiday, because I literally never dine outside at night here, really, with a full face of makeup. Very rare that I would do that, but on holiday I do it a lot. And the best thing that's ever happened to me is the Charlotte Tilbury setting spray, okay? I have never, like, I've been on days when I thought, oh my God, I'm scared to look in the mirror. Who knows what I look like? And that setting spray is just unbelievable. So get involved. Holly Ann asks what my favourite exfoliating products are. Dealing with little white bumps on my jawline and need help. So two of my favourite facial exfoliators are the Good Molecules powder. I love that one. I also love the Kate Somerville vitamin C masks. That's amazing. And the Ordinary like blood sucking mask, the AHA peel is what I'm talking about. I love a chemical exfoliation as opposed to a physical one. So yeah, those three are my absolute favorites. Maddie says makeup separating around her nose. So what's happening there is your oils are coming through. So one thing to try would be the MAC primer. This is so good. I used to use this all the time around my nose. It's not as oily anymore, so I typically don't really need to use that, especially since I started using the Tom Ford primer, because for me, not having oily skin really, and just getting a little bit of natural oils breaking through around my nose area, that kind of does the job. If you have a really oily nose, so it's always happening, then I would recommend trying to find an oil controlling primer to use specifically just in the nose area if you don't want to use it all over your face. If it's just around the nose, oil controlling primer, that's what you need, because the breaking down is happening because of those natural oils coming through around your nose. This is kind of the area that they break through the most, those little devils. Ali asks, how does the Lisa Eldridge mascara compare to the Benefit Roller Lash? They are not the same. They are very different, okay? Benefit Roller Lash is very much a sort of separating, lifting mascara. So it gives a lot of separation. It has quite a sort of spiky look to it, very separated and lifted. The Lisa Eldridge is much more of a sort of voluminous, kapow, foxy, kitten lash effect. So more volume, not as much sort of lift and not as much separation, a bit more impactful from a volume perspective, as opposed to the Roller Lash, which is lengthening and separating and lifting. The Lisa Eldridge is more volumizing, kapowing, if that makes any sense. They aren't very similar as far as the kind of final look. And finally, Saz9382 says, do you have any recommendations for, I think this is pitted acne scars, currently using Tatcha Silk Canvas? I don't, I'm afraid. I was blessed with very good skin when I was younger, so I don't have any acne scarring. I've never had acne, and I am definitely not the right person to answer this question because I have no experience in it. I'm not in any way qualified to give advice on skin problems. My 100% recommendation for anything relating to skincare problems is either a dermatologist or the place that I get absolutely 100% of my skincare and skin problem information from, and that's Caroline Hirons. She is the most knowledgeable person on earth, possibly, when it comes to skin problems, skincare, anything like that. She has an absolutely amazing wealth of information on her website. She also has her amazing app, which I always use when I'm looking to try new products. So I would 100% have a look through her website. I'm sure she's probably covered this topic before. She does a lot of Q&As as well on her Instagram. So definitely speak to an expert about something like this, because I am not qualified to answer this question, and it wouldn't be responsible of me to try and guess and trying to help you based on something that I've read online. So I would 100% have a look through Caroline's website. I'm sure she probably has covered this topic before, as it is a really common issue. So you're not alone. I know a lot of people struggle with acne and acne scarring, and I'm 100% confident that Caroline will have many answers and tips for you. Okay, so there you have it. I think we've pretty much answered all of the questions that were new questions today. So thank you so much for sending me in your makeup dilemmas. I hope I was able to help some of you with these today. If you want to participate in the next episode of Makeup Dilemmas, just follow me on Instagram. That's where I put out the call for anyone who wants to participate in these videos. And I promise to do them a bit more frequently now that I've remembered I was doing this series. But thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, and I would love to see you in the next one. Otherwise, take care for now. Bye.